This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry.
Happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday to you.
Whoa. Just so everybody knows, this is Randy Blake is actually live in the studio this morning with a brand new knee. It's like it shines when he walked in. It's like, it's like all that titanium inside him, and
kind of, you know, construction and farming's been rough on me, and I finally had to bite the bullet.
Well, you're getting around. You're looking good, man. I'm glad you're back in the studio.
Well, thanks for allowing me to be gone and doing my live feeds from other places.
We've been good. Yeah, we've done some good stuff. And, you know, last week with the weather, just didn't make it where we could get in. And then, but the good news is All About Home Construction. We had an exclusive podcast. So we actually ended up putting out a podcast on last Saturday since we couldn't get into the radio station with the weather and the bad roads and all that other stuff. So, yeah, that's what you're missing if you don't listen to the podcast All About Home Construction. So,
well, not everybody has a computer. So
well, we understand that. One day we'll get it played on the air, but we do like to keep new content out when we can. So that's just another way we can do it, and that's what we did. So.
You know, when my brother was in, not changing the subject, but talking about the internet and stuff, we watched the whole line of Starlink satellites go across the sky.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I saw that back in the fall, I guess it was, when I saw it. It's like...
Yeah, there was like 8 of them go through. And so technology is coming. The only thing I don't understand about the U.S. technology is why has other countries got faster internet than we have, and everybody has it available.
Right.
And
I don't know.
You know how Watauga County was with... in-house learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. You know, and Watauga is all of the high country. Let's put it that way. You know, it's just the nature of the beast, right? With the land and getting things to places, and cell service we know doesn't cover the entire area.
It doesn't make any difference to the carrier.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of dead spots, and then fast internet. You know, it used to be back in the day the DSL stuff, and that's considered old, slow internet. You know, that's gone the way of dial-up basically, and you know, but even that, you know, a lot of places there's still some places. I don't know about a lot anymore, but there's still quite a bit of places in the county that has that can't even get that right.
Yep.
And but you know, some of these satellites, like you said, like the Earthlink, it's supposed to be pretty fast compared to satellite internet back 15 years ago.
Correct. And
so I don't know.
So it's coming, but there's one thing about it where Terry's got us on YouTube. You can actually get on your smartphone and listen to it.
See, that's the cool thing. You don't have to listen to like you don't have to be a podcast guy like I am to listen to it. You can just go into YouTube, but you can also listen to it from any kind of computer too. You know, just type in All About Home Construction podcast and it pops up too.
Oh, but I was talking Chinese because the words didn't match my mouth.
Yeah, so this is the first time I played around with video, and
we're Terry's learning.
I'm trying. It's fun, but part of that is the way we were doing the Zoom thing and the video thing. So I don't know. We're working out the bugs, get a little better, but you can see Randy's pretty face and my ugly face.
No, I think that's the opposite now because I'm a little older than you.
Well, they can still see us. How's that? So, but yeah, an exclusive All About Home Construction on the podcast, on the webs, and talked a little bit about DIY, well, budget-friendly stuff. How's that? And so it was fun. It was a fun show, and kind of piggying back off of that in today's show. But we'll you don't have to listen to it. You can still listen to us right now. It's okay. It'll make sense. But anyway, well. How's the construction world been? I mean, I know it's wintertime, you know, and we've had some pretty rough weather the last, basically month. But are things still kicking around when it comes to the construction world right now in the high country?
We're not slow at all. I mean, we have people calling every day. The biggest thing is you can't call me and demand me to be there tomorrow.
Right.
You know that's not going to happen.
Well, and that's the case with a lot of people, right? Again, like you said, you're so busy that even getting out to pulling yourself off the job long enough to get an estimate even is kind of tough, because while it's important to have that next job lined up, the most important job is the one you're on.
Correct. That's it. And you know, we're from Johnson County, Tennessee, to Caldwell County, Elk Park to here in Boone, and it's not necessarily our timing; it's the customer's timing, because a lot of customers don't know what they want.
Sure.
And then they'll go, well, I need to think about this.
Yeah.
And while they're thinking on it, I can't take me and my employees can't take the day off. We got to go somewhere else and work. You know, because me as an employer will not keep them employed.
Yeah, they've got bills to pay, and they got to earn money, and like you said, you're busy, so it how would you feel if you were the homeowner waiting for the next job and you're like, oh well, my guys are taking off today because they don't know what this customer wants? I mean, it's kind of there's multi angles to look at it, and but that goes back to what we've said a few weeks ago, was come up with a plan, right? When you're ready to do something, and this is anything from a large job, building a brand new house, to just remodeling a bathroom, right?
Correct.
If you have an idea and a plan, and know what you want, then talk to the contractor. It's going to help in a lot of ways, right? It's going to help you get an accurate estimate, but it's also going to help them plan and know what to do and what to expect time-wise and what to expect material-wise and cost-wise, right?
Well, it's like a bicycle. Your bicycle runs fine, but all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 loose spokes on it. It's not long till the tire goes to wobbling. Mm-hmm. Well, changing in midstream, a lot of customers go, well, I want to do this here.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that change has to come out of their pocket,
right?
Not my pocket. But the bad thing about that on the other side is a bank don't want to lend any more money for your changes.
Yep.
And I've seen instances where the banks will pay the contractor but not pay for the changes that the homeowner, and then
the homeowner right now has to foot the bill.
That's right. See, because that's not part of the deal. The contract says blah, blah, blah.
Right.
All right?
Well,
and most people, I don't really want to pay for a change order.
Right.
But a change order is time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, and most changes, would you it seems to me that most changes, and this is a broad paintbrush, but most changes cost more. I mean, in other words, like you're usually picking something that's more expensive than less expensive. Do you see a lot of change orders where, for instance, going from tongue and groove to drywall because it's cheaper? Do you see a lot of that, or is it typically more drywall to tongue and groove kind of things? Because it seems to me that it's always more of an upgrade rather than a downgrade.
Well, wood is an upgrade, correct?
But I just mean like as far as change orders go. It seems like people are always changing orders to upgrade, not necessarily to downgrade.
Well,
cut corners.
It's like this. I want drywall, but after you get the project started, would you give me a cost on wood?
Right.
Okay. And drywall's pretty simple. I mean, drywall's not cheap either, but the point of it is, that you put your drywall up, you prime it, you paint it.
You're done, right.
There's you put your baseboard around your windows, your baseboard around the floor, your casing around your windows and doors, and that's it. Your painter can paint a different color. Generally, that's no big deal changing the color.
Sure.
As long as you've not already bought the paint.
Right.
And but now when it comes to wood, and then the homeowner says, well, I think I want to go to wood, but then I want to put it on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I'll do drywall walls.
It's not.
Yeah. All right. So now you got to go back and you got to put crown molding on. And if you paint it, it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. You prime it, you paint it, and go on. Which I can't stand to see painted wood.
Kind of defeats the purpose of it.
But if you want to go urethane, all right, now that's a different ball game, because you put, the urethane manufacturers will not warrant urethane if you put sand and sealer on. because we used to put sand and sealer on it, take steel wool, sand it down, and put the urethane on it and be done with it. Well, now you put urethane on, but you sand it down, but it's not slick like sand and sealer.
Yeah, I know.
So you might end up having to put 3 coats of urethane on. So that is a cost factor.
And again, you can't paint it on the roof typically. I mean, on the ceiling typically, because it's urethane doesn't work the same as paint. You know, paint's not easy, but you can paint a ceiling. Urethane just doesn't tend to work out as well upside down.
Correct. And but there is a way around that, and the way around it is if you're going to stain it, and you have the facility to do it, you can spray it.
Yeah.
But if you can't spray it, then you got to go through all that sanding and stuff like that.
But typically on the change orders like that, you've got the delay in the change up is cause other work to happen, and so you're less likely to be able to spray it on a change order than if you plan on it from day one, right?
Yeah.
Because you can work around it, but if you're change order now you got to go ahead and get the floor guy in because that's the only time he can get in. You know, you definitely can't do anything to it, right? Or you've already got some of the drywall up, so you're gonna spray it and get the overspray of urethane on drywall.
Yeah,
and I mean there's a lot of cogs to the wheel, right?
Well, it's not like you finishing floors with a sheepskin brush.
Yep.
You know, put it on, come back, do it again.
Done that many times. So,
but you know, it's time, okay? And the thing is, what is your life valued at time?
Right. Sure. Time is money, right?
That's right.
For everybody. Well, we're going to find some ways to save you some of that money. So stay tuned. All About Home Construction. We'll come right back right after these messages. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right. All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, both on the podcast and on WATA Live here on Saturday morning. You can give us a call, 828-262-1567. So I want to talk a little bit about, Randy, if you're okay with this, and what ways to save money. And there's a couple angles we can think about it this way, right? And they kind of work together, parallel. And that is as a client, as a homeowner, whatever you want to call it, right? What can you do up front and throughout the process to save yourself money, but also as a contractor, what can you do to save money, right? Because those are two things that ultimately work together because they're going to save the homeowner in the end, you know, the one foot in the bill.
Yeah, correct. And the number one thing on the list is not shopping around for materials.
Right.
And unfortunately, here in Boone, the local building supplies don't carry appliances.
Right.
So yeah, you have to go to Lowe's or go off the mountain. So
right.
that's a give me. All right, but now I'm not putting Lowe's down by no means. But if you go in there at Lowe's and you buy your trim, 8s, 10s, 12s, very rarely do they ever have any 16-foot material.
Right.
And when you're doing a takeoff on your, let's say interior, you don't take out for door openings.
Right.
Okay? And the reason for that is because you'll have a lot of openings, or you'll have a lot of what we call a drops on your trim. So you just measure vertical. Let's take the flat plan, okay?
Right.
And so you measure your perimeter, you measure your interior. That's your trim. It comes in 16-foot lengths.
Right.
Okay.
Well, because it's there's always ways, right? Like you're gonna have corners, you're gonna have these things, and I mean, it's just like if you measured it, I mean, and then added 10%, right? It's just as easy to not subtract to begin with, right?
Correct. And so knowing up front if you're going to do stain grade or paint grade, okay? Because here a while back we bought paint grade stuff that was actually more expensive than stain grade material. And a lot of people don't realize that paint grade a lot of times has finger joints in it, where stain grade has no finger joints.
Sure. So you're better off if with not value and cost, you're better off product-wise to get the stain. So if you can get it cheaper, you're better off, right?
Correct. And
well, it's like back when I was doing floors all the time, we got this product. It was a seal coat, and what it was the flooring. It was they specialized. They had oak flooring, and it was sealed on all 6 sides before in the factory, right? It had a sealer put on it already, and in many ways, even if you didn't put it in a high moisture place, it was still a better product altogether, right?
Yeah.
And I'd catch it on sale and would buy, would stock up on it because it was a better product and I could get it for the same price. And so why not use it? And so it's the same thing, right? But that's like you said, you go back to shopping around. One thing that I've always kind of noticed, and this is, and again, we have some really good building supply places up here, but I feel like people, it seems to me anyway, people are pretty loyal to that one company, and so I'm going to go to this store and I'm just going to buy everything, all my materials from this store. Do you see a lot of shopping around in terms of, okay, I need a pallet of wood. Do I go, do you call both stores? Or do you typically stick with the one?
I just typically stick with the one. And I stick with the one that has the best quality.
Sure.
And the one that cares about the contractor.
Right.
There is one company out there that doesn't care about the contractor.
Sure.
And
that's,
but it means a lot. You have your salesman, and let's say for my circumstances, I've been with one company now 35 years.
Right.
All right, I was with another company that I did for nearly 15 years, and they went out of business. I was a client of Lowe's because of appliances and stuff, but then they decided to fire all the contractors in 2000.
Right.
Now they want us to come back. But the thing about it is, I'm not interested in come back with a company that didn't want contractors because you can't trust them.
Yep.
And most of the time, when a contractor goes out and buys materials, a homeowner can't match the same price.
Right. Well, and you can see that, the stickers. And is that because of bulk? Because you as a contractor, you sort of get a discount because you're always buying from there?
Yeah, no, I'm a licensed entity.
Okay, got you.
So
it's sort of the same idea as a restaurant buying wholesale.
Correct. Yeah, about like me having the VFW set up with performance folks.
Right. Well, and so one thing too that I was thinking about, in terms of shopping around, and that's part of looking for the best deal too, is somewhat buying in bulk, right? Like you don't necessarily. I mean, I get there. You don't want, for instance, wood sticking out in the rain for 6 months while you use it. But at the same time, if it's something you can use and you're going to use, buy it. If you can use it in a timely manner, go ahead and buy all of it at once. Because how many times
framing is one thing you don't.
I guess that's really where I'm going. But like how many times have you heard about someone that needs they're 1 2x4 short, and now they got to go all the way back to town to get one.
Well, that's time.
And
there we go back to time.
It's money. It costs gas if nothing else to get there and back. And like I said, you're not getting that discount. A lot of times, if I buy a whole truckload of wood, it's going to be cheaper per piece than if I just buy 5 pieces of wood.
Well, I've also had homeowners say, well, you have this wood left over here. You going to credit me that? Well, no. Legally, we're allowed a 10% waste factor.
Right.
And most time, if the lumber's set on the job any amount of time, if it's set over there 30 days, the lumber company's not going to take it back either.
Right, they're not going to take it.
But I've also seen jobs where contractors throwed it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And I can't stand waste.
I'm the same way. I mean, and it used to be you could dumpster dive and find it, and it's not as easy as it used to be.
No, it's not. But, and that leads us up to the number 2 answer there, poor site management.
Right. And this goes for any kind of job that you're doing, whether it's subcontract work or framing. I mean, everything comes down to poor site management. And
that's putting your let's say we're going to put the framing on the job.
Right.
All right. Now it's contractor's responsibility to make sure that stuff needs to be covered up every day.
Right.
It's no big deal if it's not going to be any raining, but let's take out here right now. We've got a 91% chance of rain today.
Yep.
You don't want your framing lumber to get wet. Even though your framing lumber is kiln dried, it will gather a little moisture.
It's going to pull moisture. I mean, you can put the driest piece of wood, typically a kiln dries what, 5-7%.
And then time you get it's 11, 12.
11, 12, right. But I've seen kiln dry stuff in a building, in a house that's 20-30%.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a house that flooded. I'm talking about, a house under construction.
Yeah,
wood's gonna average out until you when you get your house finished, you got heat, the humidifiers on, air conditioners, stuff like that. Yeah, it'll drop back down. But if you look at think back again. We love history on this channel, and so go back and look at a 150-year-old house. Typically, all of that wood's going to average about 25% moisture-wise.
Yeah,
that's what wood wants to be.
Well, that was actually built green too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like wood in a barn, for instance. You put wood to air dry in your barn. You're not going to get it below about 25%.
I remember in the 80s, down there in Atlanta, framing these office buildings, South Atlanta, and the wood was wet.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't green, but it was kiln dried, but it was shipped from South America here in a container.
And it's pulling all that moisture.
I'd never experienced it being here in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my boss, I said, why are we getting such wet lumber? And he said, well, this all comes out of South America. I mean, it was clean-looking wood,
right, but
it was damp.
Yep. Now,
the good thing about down there in Georgia is it's so hot it didn't stay damp long.
Right, it baked it out a little more. But again, it's the problem with wet and moisture, high content moisture wood is wood moves, and so the more moisture, the more water it has in it, it's going to swell, and then things are going to dry. And then when you've got go back to frame, and when you've got a joint, where you got a 2x4 going into the wall, it can pull away quite a bit.
It can,
and so you got an air gap, or you got some kind of space that you shouldn't need.
We didn't see it much with that lumber, because that was similar to our spruce.
Okay.
Now
it's a little more stable.
I refuse to frame any walls with yellow pine. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, yellow pine got so inconsistent that I quit framing floor joists with it.
Right.
Because you'd get one to be 9 1/4, 9 3/8, 9 3/16, and stuff like that.
And they all ran through the same machine, so they all started out the same.
Yeah, and I really liked yellow pine because of the structural capabilities. The spans were longer.
Right.
See, like if we had a room 20 foot wide, we could put it on 12-foot centers and just double bridge it and be done with it. Yep. Because spruce wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. I love hemlock for that same reason.
Well, you can't get hemlock no more.
I know. Well, okay, so another thing about site management, and this is more efficiency side of site management. So it's the physical side itself, like you had mentioned, but also site management in terms of scheduling. Getting the right people in at the right time. I would put that under site management. When you've got a floor guy working with a painter, it just they're overlapping. Neither one of them are going to be efficient getting their work done.
Correct. That's right.
But also little things of site management, such as cleaning. Like if I can put, for instance, doing floors, if I can put my saw close to me, I'm going to be a lot faster than if you make me put it outside, and I'm going to have to carry every stick of wood outside to cut.
About like a tile man having to cut tile outside.
Yeah. So, and so some things like that, but cleaning, I think, is a huge thing, because now I'm dragging my saw. How many times have you done that where you got a pile of wood left over laying in the cut pieces of wood, and you trip over, you drag your saw over, and now it's stretched out 20 feet instead of in that pile. But all that takes time to clean it up.
When we go to trimming a house, generally our miter saws are outside. Okay, so we have a cutter,
Right.
and the cutter understands what you're talking about.
Right.
So you give him the measurement, he cuts it. Now, if it's a small piece, it goes in the. We keep a wheelbar there.
Right. So you have two piles, right?
One pile is to save that we might need.
Yep.
Another pile is to go to we used to burn it in the burn barrel.
Right.
To stay warm in the wintertime. And to give you an idea, we were building a house, and I had all my 1x6 tongue and groove cut to trim my windows out, because we put windows in a 12-inch block wall. And I get to the job, and I'm going, have you seen my tongue and groove that I had?
Oh, no. I know
Yeah, I did. I just come in today, and I just cleaned it all up, and I put it in the burn barrel and burned it. And I said, that was all pre-cut to do all the inside of my windows.
Yep.
Oh, really? I said, yeah. I said, don't touch anything till it's in the wheelbar.
Yeah.
And so there you go. I had to turn back around, send somebody to the building supply,
and then you had to buy it again,
and buy it all
just
again,
because it's burnt,
and recut it. Yeah. So let the contractor do his job, or there could be a female contractor.
Right. Well, yeah. No, it's exactly, and and communication's a lot of that part too, right? Like if you are going to go shoot Randy a text and be like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna sweep everything up. Is that cool?" And
yeah.
But even then, again, if you're a good contractor, should be proactive, and there shouldn't be a lot of, and that's where I was going. Right, is taking care of keeping it clean, keeping it tidy, keeping it organized as you go.
And know what your inventory is every day.
Right.
Inventory is a big part of building, and you need to know what it is.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely. So, but I want to stick just a minute with that. With the managing of the site management, but now the managing of subcontractors too, right? Is you as a contractor, as a general contractor, you have your subs that you know what to expect from them, both quality and time and like all that stuff, right?
And the big word, trust.
Yep.
And we had a homeowner. Now let me explain this to you, homeowners. Do not go out there and price other subs underneath a contractor.
Sure.
Because that is a violation of that. Not the contractor's license, but your permit.
Oh.
See, if you're a homeowner, well, I found a heat and air guy that's $1,000 less than the guy you got. Well, you violate your permit. And under the law, the contractor's supposed to walk away that day.
Interesting. But having said that, like up front, so for instance, I know how to do my own wood floors. If I contract you out, is that just part, like, I could say, okay, here, build me the house, but I'm doing the floors. Like, if you know that up front, you can put that in the contract, and that's okay.
Correct. That's right.
So a homeowner could be in charge of, for instance, landscaping.
I generally,
and not.
One thing I allow, now legally I'm not allowed to do this, but I do it, is I want the homeowner to buy their own appliances.
Okay.
All right, that way they get what they want.
That's fair. Okay.
And,
and that's what I was curious. Like, but again, that's known up front. That's not going back and being like, well, what the heck, Randy? I got this guy that'll do it for this, right? That's different, I guess, is if you know that going into the contract.
Because we had a plumber one time on a job, and he bid pegs. because of the amount of water line we had under the concrete slab. And the homeowner come in and said, no, I don't want that. I want copper. But then he didn't want to pay for the copper. You can't do that.
You can't, right.
Copper's a lot more expensive than PEX.
Sure.
So,
yeah, okay.
And that's the reason you want to lay out in your contract everything you want to do. That way the changes are done before the contract is signed.
Right.
But also, I've been in situations, and I know a lot of other contractors have, where sometimes the contract can take weeks.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we were bidding on a job, and the homeowner kept changing the contract. Well, I don't want this in the contract.
Right.
All right. Well, and so I finally turned it over to my attorney, and I said, what is my bill?
Right.
He said, okay, I'll tell you. And I just walked away.
Sure.
I mean, the contract should be fair for both parties, not one-sided.
Exactly. Well, and that brings up another thing we can talk about after the break, and that's change orders. And that's probably the biggest cost in any construction job. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back right after this. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right. All About Home Construction here on WATA. Randy in the studio with me live this morning. I appreciate that, man.
Titanium and all.
I'm glad you're here.
Well, that's another reason I'm not cooking at the VFW.
That's fair.
Because
Because it's hard to stand on a brand new knee.
Correct. Well, I know one thing. I know there's a lot of people out there that had it, but we all know that doctors tell you that it hurts. They say it don't hurt too bad, but it hurts worse than you think.
That's fair. Well, but the good news is it's better in the long run, so we appreciate that. But all right, talking a little bit about ways to save money in construction, both as the homeowner and as a contractor. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I know we've killed it and we've talked about this over and over and over. But we've got to mention change orders. Change orders are probably the most expensive part in terms of what costs money or costs especially extra money on a job. Change orders is it, right?
Correct. And that is a viable cost. And back in the 70s and 80s, contractors charged $250 for a change order. You had to sign it. You had to put what you wanted. Then they would tell you what it cost, and then you'd have to re-sign it again.
Right.
Well, now you're looking at probably a change order being, cost plus a little different, okay, because that's cost plus.
Right.
Okay. But in a fixed contract, it could be as much as $500 to $1,000 now, depending on what you want. Depends on what the change is.
Sure.
And as a rule of thumb, a change order can cost your project up to 10 to 15% more.
Right.
So, and that does not come out of the contractor's pocket. That comes out of your pocket because you're the one that wants to change.
Right.
And I know this might sound a little mean to people, but I said don't let your eyes oversee your budget.
Right. Definitely.
And because everybody, it's your dream home.
Yep.
My job is to build your dream home. But my job is also to control cost.
Right. Well, and to all of our contractors out there, right, plan for that change would be the advice to keeping your costs down as a business. And that by that I mean, put, like you said, you have a contract, you have a signed contract, and anything that you do above and or different than that, make sure that you've dotted your I's and you've crossed your T's.
Yeah. And here's a statement that's true on change orders. The greater number of change means reduction in productivity anywhere from 10 to 30% on your project.
I mean, again, something as simple or as small, rather, as, like you said, changing the color of the wall. You know, if I'm here and I'm about to paint this room and you decide to go from red to white, well, even if I haven't bought the paint, you know, but I still have to run to town to get it, and that 30-minute trip to town alone is going to set me back how long? You know, and that's a pretty minor thing. You know, typically it's a lot more involved than just, oh, I'm going to grab this one instead of that one off the shelf.
Generally here in the high country, it's not a 30-minute trip.
Yeah, on that, right?
It could be 30 minutes there,
yeah,
and an hour at the building supply. 30
minutes back, and then by then you got, you know, it's lunchtime, and then, well, now too, this guy has set up a saw to cut this in here, so now I got to wait for him to finish, and I mean, it all adds up, right? It all trickles down.
Well, to give you an idea, we did a Cost Plus project, and the bad thing is I could never get a reference out of them because you can't get hard to get references out of the clubs.
Right.
The project started out as a 750 square foot addition on a house.
Okay.
The only problem was it was 2.5 stories down. All right, that 750 square foot addition turned into 3,200 square foot. And I've posted some pictures over the years.
Uh-huh.
This house has 9 different levels in it. Wow. So we took a 3,000 square foot house and we added 3,200 to it. And
lots of nooks and crannies.
Well, I have a good friend of mine that did all the designing on it, made all the changes, and but golly, you talking about nightmare. Mm-hmm. Having to, they would come up and say, well, now we want to do this.
Yeah.
All right, after you've already got this done.
Well, and when you start changing things that are structural, a lot of times it's more than, you know, again, I'm kind of keep using the example of the paint because that's a pretty, in terms of change orders, that's a pretty easy change order, assuming you hadn't already started painting.
Yeah.
Or
you hadn't already bought the paint.
But, you know, but at least that's pennies in the bucket when it comes to, you know, again, something structural. Because now, what if you've built a wall and now you realize that this change order's changed it up, and now I'm going to have to put, you know, some kind of beam, you know, to hold it up across it, and change the load and this and that. I mean, you could jump up, you could tear down the stuff that you just did easily. I mean, that's not a out of the realm of possibilities where you have to take something that you spent 2 days on and take it down.
Correct. Well, you know, back in 2004 and 5, 6, we didn't have glues to glue down hardwood flooring and concrete like we do today.
Yep.
You know, and I've seen some hardwood flooring that was glued right straight down to the floor.
Uh-huh.
The glue is a waterproof glue.
Mm-hmm.
And you just put your flooring together. There's no nails involved.
Yep.
Well, for us to go ahead and put hardwood flooring on that concrete, first off, I learned a good trick about sand. If you got a low spot in it, you take sand and put in it and take a level, and you can level that out. Yeah. Then the next thing we did was we had to cover the whole floor. I didn't trust epoxy paints at that time.
You got to seal it with something.
So what we did was we put weather shield down that we use underneath roofing for waterproofing,
because you got to block you got to block moisture one way or the other.
And so then we had to come back and put 3/4 inch plywood down on it.
Yeah.
So it is a cost for each of these items.
Yep.
And a ramset gun does a fine job, but let's say we got a piece of rebar that comes up a little further than normal, and you shoot it, and that nail, now you got a crack in your concrete.
Yeah.
So the next alternative is tap cons.
Yeah.
All right, and tap cons are slow to put in.
Yep. There you go.
And
Makes a difference.
Then you glue all your 3/4 inch plywood joints together. You know, so it's just there's a technical side to it that people just go.
Yep.
They don't understand all the phases in it.
All right. Well, one of the next ones that I think, and we've touched on this a little bit, but that is reducing excess waste. like you said a while ago with those windows, right? You save this 2-foot piece because there's a chance you're going to need a 16-inch piece later.
Correct.
And
you generally don't, baseboard you'll save a small piece.
right.
But window trim generally not. And another thing over the years that people don't think about, we've got away from window sills.
Yeah.
All windows now are picture frame windows.
Right.
So, and it just works so much better on trim.
Well, reducing waste. There's an environmental impact on that as well, and you can't excuse that or you can't dismiss that. But also, again, how many times have you needed a block of a couple inches or a couple feet rather that to hold this up for this to dry or that to do this, and you've thrown it away, and now you got to go buy a brand new piece.
Correct.
To an 8-foot piece to get 2 feet out of it.
So we wait. I know you've heard me talk about my son's house, and we designed it all to use certain lengths of framing. The rooms were designed for 12-foot drywall.
Right.
All right. So if we didn't use 12-foot, we could use it in the corner in the bathroom and stuff. So we sat down and we actually took 1.5 years to design this house to eliminate all the waste that we could have in it.
That's cool. Well, and yeah, little things like that, but even buying this 8-foot piece of drywall versus the 12-foot. So,
well, generally,
it depends on what what I'm saying.
Generally, the only time you ever buy 8 foot for bathrooms, and that's green board and blue board.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this. Obviously, by listening to this podcast, you see the value of All About Home Construction. Well, by joining our listener supporter community, you're not just tuning in, you're standing with us as we are able to support and fuel our passions of the construction industry. As a listener supporter, you'll enjoy exclusive perks, including hearing your name, or maybe even your business name, on our show. So please go to our Spotify website. The link will be in the show notes, and join. You can join for as little as $1 one-time fee, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. Every single penny helps to keep this show going as we can continue to grow and do lots more things. Thanks a lot. And again, more importantly, thank you for listening to this. That's right, All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. Talking a little bit, Randy, about how to save money, and this is both for homeowners, getting work done, and for contractors. And again, one of the biggest things, and we've said this before, is planning out front. And I think that sadly that fixes most of the cost issues in terms of added cost. But another thing that I like to think about too, and this goes more towards the contractor than the homeowner, but also it's buying or getting a contractor that has the right things, and the right that specializes, that has the right tools, the right equipment, and then on the contractor side, right, is having that equipment, knowing what to buy, what to rent, and also what to invest in terms of like, buy this Harbor Freight table saw or buy this, nice, expensive table saw.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things when it comes to investing in tools and equipment. But then on the homeowner side, right, is finding that contractor that has that investment so that they're not going to break, the saw's not going to break, and they're going to be down for a day because they're going to go buy a new saw.
Correct. And, I'm sorry. A lot of people buy tools. Well, this will do what I need.
Yep.
No, my miter saws are over $600.
Right.
Okay, I don't want a Harbor Freight miter saw. Excuse me. I want to know that my cuts are tighter than
right.
Like my skill saws. I don't buy a homeowner skill saw.
Mm-hmm.
I buy a saw that generally has brakes on it and stuff like that, which is a little more expensive because good thing about that is when a man's on the roof.
Right.
I had a boss get back to Atlanta down there, and Black & Decker saws that he bought back in the 80s was $450 when a regular Black & Decker. Now a saw cat, regular saw cat was about $200. But he said the reason I bought it is because when you pull the trigger off, now OSHA would have wrote him up fine because he always kept his saw blade with a wedge in it with a guard up.
Oh, yeah.
And he said the reason for that is because if you ever slid on the roof, you could jam your saw into the plywood.
Catch it.
Yeah,
So,
catch yourself. And which that made a lot of sense. But the thing about it is you couldn't send a beginner up there to do something like that.
Right.
You know, but that saw, when you let off the trigger, the blade was dead in about a second.
That's awesome, yeah.
So, I mean, that's the type of saw.
Yeah. Well, but again, and that's what makes a good contractor versus someone that's not, subpar contractor. And by that is having the right tools, right?
Well,
I mean,
I'm a DeWalt man, okay? But I do like a lighter saw. And because I always run my rafter tails wild, okay, chalk a line, put the level on them, plumb them up,
right,
and saw them off. So Hitachi made a real light saw that was real good that you could hold yourself up on the rafters and you could saw down with it and not have any trouble.
Nice.
So there's a tool for everything because I can cut right-handed or I can cut left-handed.
Yep.
So.
Well, but again, that's knowing what to get and what equipment to have, and that's and taking care of it too. But that's a whole other topic. So, well, thanks for listening to us, Randy. Glad you made it back in live into the building. Appreciate that. Again, check out the Facebook page, All About Home Construction on Facebook, and then the podcast, All About Home Construction, wherever you listen to podcasts, including on YouTube. And we have our exclusive out. That's from last week since we weren't on the radio. So go listen to that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and thank you for tolerating me being gone.
We appreciate it. We're glad you're back. Glad you're better. All right. We'll see everyone next week. Stay warm. Stay dry. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our podcast, All About Home Construction. Our show airs live on WATA Radio in Boone, North Carolina every Saturday morning. Check out our Facebook page, All About Home Construction. Leave your tips and comments there. Also, subscribe, like, and share this with a friend.